Okay, so hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Day, morning, evening, night, whatever time it is for you and the world. Anyway, we're going to create a light switch. So now we have a interaction system in place that we can go around pressing E on our objects, and now we're interacting with it. We need to we want to control some elements in the world. So the easiest one to start off with is something like a light switch, right? So we'll build a light switch. So let's just jump straight into this. So we're going to go to content, and in our blueprints folder, the BP actors, we're going to create here a new blueprint class actor, and we're going to name this BP underscore light switch, and I'm going to call this 001. Because I might have multiple, like different types of light switches. So I might have one that's, a push button, one that's a flick button, I might decide to make different variations of a light switch. A giant red button, I don't know, entirely up to you, but so I'll just number this one 001. Anyway, enough for filling. So we're going to double click, go into this blueprint. Okay, we're going to open this up. So we're going to need to create a few things. You can choose to import your mesh if you want. I am going to not import any mesh. I'm just going to create a light switch using 2 cubes. Alright, so I'm going to go add, and I'm going to go cube, and I'll call this base. So this will be the base of the light switch. And I'll just squash this in like that. So that can just sit on the wall, right? Or any wall really. And what I'm going to do is also add another cube, so second cube, and I don't want it to be parented, so I'm just going to move that above so it's not parented, and we'll name this to switch. So this is our switch, and we'll scale this down, bring this like this, bring this in, sorry, I got the hiccups, bring this in like so. And what we're going to do is we want to change that rotation, so I'm going to rotate this on the X, so and I'll just make some adjustments. So that's kind of coming out too far, so I'm just going to scale this in a little and move it up and down. Let's say, okay, this is let's move it in more. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go from, let's just say minus 14. Let's round this up to minus 14. All right. So we've got to just remember that 14 and minus 14 from looking at this value. So if this is minus 14, if I change it to 14, yeah, it will rotate it the opposite. So we can say on and off, right? So we'll keep that in mind. Just remember that. Before we do that, let's create some variables. So we're going to go add. I'm going to say light on. And I'm just going to do question mark, and I'm going to turn that boolean on. So it's exposed outside in the editor. So here in our details panel, once we add the blueprint in, we can edit this. We can test this and add lights to it and stuff as well. So we're going to say light on, and then I'll just put a question mark yes on, so we know it's or not. We'll just say it's a boolean, true or false. And we're going to say a light object, so we're going to add lights. Oh, or let's just call this light array, right? And then changes to light object, light object reference, yeah. And under the variable type, we want it to be an array. Okay. And also you have to expose this. We want to expose this so we can add whatever lights are in our scene. So for example, if we was to place this point light in our scene, we can then assign this light to our array and say, okay, I want this light, or multiple lights to that light switch. Okay. And we'll do that in a bit as well. You'll see, well, it's pretty straightforward. Anyway, So we have a light switch. So I'm going to hit compile save. Now we're going to go into construct. So with the construct, we're going to need to branch out from this. So I'm going to say branch. And we need also our light on as the condition to say get. So this will go into our condition. All right. And the switch, we want to use this switch and we want to set the relative rotations, which was 14 or minus 14, right? True or false. So if it's on, set it to 14. If it's off, minus 14, or whichever way, other way around that looks right. But we can tweak, we can change those values anyway. Anyway, set relative rotation, and then we're just going to say split. Um, split the pins, so we just want the X, right? And I'm just going to type 14. And I'm just going to copy this and paste, right? And then change this one to minus 14. And link this target here. And we're going to go false, and that one will go to true. And that's it. All right. So now we can go into our blueprint, and we can just test this in the editor. So we can drop our light switch in. Right. Let me just put this to minus 90. Alright, if we go to our editor, you can see here where we exposed the light array and the light on. If I check the light on and off, you can see now the switch is now changed. We're changing that rotation, right? We're setting the relative rotation. So if I say light on is, that's pressed down, and then when you turn it off, that'll be off. Okay? On, off, on, off. Okay, so that's this working. Next, what we want to do is be able to control this light component or whatever light components are attached to this array of lights to be able to control. So we're going back into our blueprint. So from here, what we're going to do is for each loop, for each loop. All right, I'm just going to copy this and paste it down here and do the same. Boom. And what we want is we want to say what array are we controlling, which is our light array here. Get, and we're going to assign this to the arrays. Boom. Okay, and out of here, we're going to say set visible. Oh, sorry, not here. Out of here, set visible. Set visibility, which is the light component, right? And we'll do the same out of the next one. Of course, we're going to have to say loop body and then pass that through as well. But we're going to do the same here. Set visibility. Maybe you want to change the intensity or you want to change the color. I don't know. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But for that, we're just going to say turn it on and off. Right. Like so. And this one I'll check as well. Make sure that's checked. That one is true and one is false. All right. And link this as well. And that's about it. That's all we need. So if I go compile and save, now if we go to our light switch in the editor, this will only work in the editor. If I hit play, this won't work yet because we need to put this in the event graph, and we also need to add the BP interaction to the class to the blueprint. But anyway, what we're going to do is go to light array and just select this point light. Now you can already see, turn it on, turn it off, and we're controlling this element in the array. So we've got a light switch that works. Anyway, go back to our blueprint. Now what you're gonna do is just actually we're just gonna, like I said, we only have to do this once. Copy, and I'm gonna delete all of this. Boom, and paste. Right. So it's already there. And then all we have to do is just set the light as well. So I'm going to say set and link this here. We may have to invert this, but we'll see. And and set. I could have copied that. There we go. And then just make sure that one's true and this one's false. And then we need our BP interaction. Do you remember the interaction? Our interaction event. So we want to go to class settings and we need to add that BPI interaction. There we go. And if I double click this, it will now add it to the event graph. So when we interact with the light switch, it will fire this, set the rotation, turn the light on or off. Alright, and that's it. So if I hit compile and save, if I hit play, wait for this whole animation to happen, blah 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 blah. Do 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 do. Right, and we can also turn the debug off. I remember with these cubes, we added last time, but we're gonna go to the light switch over here. E is not doing anything. Why is that? Okay, so let's go take a look at our blueprint. Like I said, it might be flipped the other way around. So let's turn this visibility on and off, and this is on and off. All right, compile, save, and let's go test it again. Play. Give it a second. Let's go check. There we go. On, off. Or should be other way around. So the rotation, the light switch is correct, but my if I click here, the light doesn't get triggered. If I click here, so I think my rotation, I just need to flip the other way around, which is not a problem. We just go into the blueprint. I was looking at my actual real light switch as well, and then thinking, eh? So this one should be set to -14, and set this to 14. There we go. Compile, save, go play. Do 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 do. There we go. That looks better. Yeah, that makes sense now. So you press the button, the light switch is on, light switch is off. So let's turn off the debug mode because we don't really need it on. It's nice to have to see when you're working, but go in here in our third person and just turn this to none. Compile, save. So we have a light switch, and then of course you can scale this down. You don't want a light. There's no such thing as a light switch that big. Uh, you know, stick it on the wall here. And like I said, you can have multiple lights. So, and it doesn't have to be, it can be any type of light. It could be spotlight, array light, a rectangular light, whatever you want. I'll drop another spotlight in here. I'll make this one blue or bluish. There we go. And click on the light switch and add an array. And I'll say, okay, I want to add this light too. There we go. And then we want to just test that it's working. And you can see they're both turning on and off. And this light can be anywhere in the scene. It could be all the way over in this corner, and it'll still, whenever I switch that on and off, this light over here is still being controlled. So it's really easy way to do it. Let's move this. For some reason, I moved it out of the map. Anyway, let's bring it back over here, and let's turn this one to red. All right, let's turn this color to red. There we go. Oh, reddish. There we go. Yeah, okay. That's close to red. It's kind of pinkish, but hey. Anyway, so it's done. So hit play. The lights are. I left the light on in the editor. That's fine. We just go up to it and turn the light off. But yeah, there we go. E, lights are off. E, lights are on. And then, of course, later on, if you want to say, okay, as I walk in the room, maybe I have an event that can trigger the lights off, and then maybe we'll look into, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. So on begin overlap, say you could say, oh, turn the light off in the corridor. If when I hit say this point here, then the lights will switch off behind me. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Or if the ghost appears, turn off all the lights, and then you have to go around and switch them back on if you want. Um, anyway, we have a interactive light. Press E. So if I press E here, nothing happens. On the light switch. There we go. Cool. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Enjoy your day, morning, evening, or night. Thank you again, and bye bye. Whoop, that cube just disappeared. There you go. Bye bye.